We can now get the view of the Mpumalanga Education Department. We're joined by its spokesperson, Jasper Zwane, by phone. Mr. Zwane, grateful for your time. Welcome to News at Prime. First things first, do you accept that because this tree fell on Meloguhle on school premises, ultimately the Education Department is liable?
Yes, greetings, Thembekile and your viewers, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Surely the Thembekile, the incident is regrettable. We are willing to work with the family to support them in whatever way possible, to ensure that the welfare of the child is put first. So we want to work with the family. We regret the accident.
Does that include compensating them financially?
That can be looked into.
Okay, so that can be looked into. Earlier, I was reading from your statement where you say you have been working with the family. I think you also gave them the services of a social worker and someone to take a psychological assessment, shall we say, of Meloguhle, the 10-year-old boy who's now been left paralyzed because this tree fell on top of him. Why did that not work out?
Correct. Since the day of the incident or accident last year, we made several attempts to engage the family. We mandated a qualified social worker and a psychologist to work with the family. However, they were stopped from undertaking this responsibility or task by the attorneys that are representing the family. Had it not been for the intervention of the attorneys, I think we would not be talking as we are talking. We are a caring department, and truly we are really concerned if the child is not supported accordingly and is not at school. So we wish to work to put the interest of the child first and to collaborate with everyone, for as long as we can ensure that the welfare of the child is not compromised. Our doors are open. We are more than willing, to support the family, the child, and collaborate with anyone to ensure that the education of the child is not compromised.
So you're most willing to work with the family. I spoke to a representative from the law firm that's now taken on the Chabalala families, so what we expect will be a civil process against yourselves as the Mpumalanga Education Department, Tony Martin. He says that they, in fact, have been communicating with you and wrote to you as recently as Thursday about the issue of schooling arrangements for Meloguhle, and that their biggest issue or their biggest stumbling block is about bringing in an independent person to conduct an assessment on whether the child is ready mentally for reintegration into whatever school environment. Is that true?
Yeah. We don't understand why, the issue of the independent person, because our social workers and our psychologists are qualified. They have been placing learners, and we have not had a challenge in the past. We have more than 18 special schools in the province, and they are able to undertake this responsibility. So we wish that they can cooperate with us, work in the best interest of the child, and ensure that the welfare of the child is not compromised. So our doors are open, and we are really concerned. We are really concerned that the child is not at school, and we want to work with the family. So we're pleading with the attorneys and the family that let's work together and put the interest of the child first.
Mr. Zwane, if you haven't seen it, you must make a point to watch Zikwana Chana's report on Meloguhle's condition, and at the end, he is sobbing and he says he wants to go back to school. Would it be too much to ask then for the department to give in?
That has been our call.
Oh, no. Please allow me to finish. Would it be too much to ask for the Education Department to go with an independent assessor to look into whether he's ready so that he can be in a classroom as soon as possible? I mean, we're going to the end of February now. Soon it'll be March, and then June, and then the year will be over.
Yeah, but we do have people who are qualified, who are supposed to undertake this responsibility, who have been doing it, in the past, and we don't understand why this time. So, and maybe if they could allow them to, perform their task, present a report, then they can, if if they are not satisfied with the report, then we can take it from there. But to prevent them, from the onset, I don't think it is reasonable. But we will be engaging with the attorneys, to ensure that we do not fail this child.
Let's talk about the issue of the CCTV footage. The family says it's requested access to this footage. They were under the impression that it would be made available, and then there was a change because you, the department, said you could not release the footage because of the investigation into what happened. What is stopping you from handing that over?
Like we are saying, had it not been for the intervention of the attorneys, I think we would be, far. We want to cooperate. We want to work with the family, and we are forever willing. And we would continue to plead that let's work together. Let's not work against each other because the future of the child is at stake. So our doors are open. Monday, if they want to talk to us, we are open for any engagement for as long as it is done in the best interest of the child. So our psychologists, social workers are ready, and they want to assess the child. Already they have identified schools that can, be ideal for the child, and we are also willing even to pay the cost.
Okay.
So the only impediment as of now was the intervention of the attorneys. But even though we wish that we can, quickly find one another such that the welfare of this child is not compromised.
I'm still not clear on what about the intervention prevents you from sharing the CCTV footage. No.
Remember, when we sent our officials, they were prevented from engaging with the family by the attorneys. And we couldn't, after we received, that correspondence that we should not engage with the family. So we are pleading that let's sit down, let's put the interest of the child first, let's collaborate purposefully and ensure that this child is at school learning.
Let's talk about the placement issue. You said you're willing to help place Meloguhle in a different school. I know you've also said that you were willing as a department to make adjustments to the school where he got injured, if that's where he and his parents wish to have him continue his learning. The lawyer, Tony Mate, mentioned two schools they've identified. One, he said, is in Gauteng, one is in KZN. Would you be able to pay or willing to pay for him to go there and get his education outside of Mpumalanga?
Those schools were identified by our social workers. We informed the attorney. So we are more than willing, to assist in whatever way, possible. We are willing to pay. They were not identified by the attorney. They were identified by the department.
So from what I'm hearing, you say you're very much willing to assist the family of Meloguhle, the Chabalala family, financially, even in relocating and having Meloguhle placed in a different school. So
that's what we have.
What do you think then it's going to take for you, the lawyers and the family, to get past this point? Because ultimately, the longer it continues, there is a child whose education, whose well-being physically and even mentally is being interfered with.
You are correct. I think the attorneys must appreciate that our social workers and psychologists are qualified. And let's work together. Let's assist this child. It is unfair. It's February now, almost end of February. A child is not at school.
Jasper Zwane, I really do hope that everyone involved in the situation, the adults especially, can come together and come up with the best solution for Meloguhle. Thank you very much for your time. Jasper Zwane is spokesperson for the Mpumalanga Education Department, speaking to us about a 10-year-old boy, Meloguhle Shabalala, who's been left paralyzed after a tree fell on top of him on school grounds in November last year. The family saying it now intends to take action against the department. The department, as you would have heard, saying tonight that it's not opposed to footing the child's bills because they accept that they are liable because this happened on their premises. Still ahead.